What's up guys, Andre here, and today I'd like to build a language switcher with Laravel. We did this in Vue in my last video, so I figured I'd do the same for a Laravel app as well. So here's a demo Laravel app. You can see the language switcher here, and this is still a Vue component, but it is within a Laravel app. So you can switch between the languages here. So if you switch to French, here are the French translations I have. It's only these two fields, or these three, but you can easily add more translations in your app. Okay, so let's get started. I have a fresh Laravel app here, and all I've done is PHP artisan make auth, just so I have a few extra pages here. Okay, first let's take a look at how localization works in Laravel. So let's go into the code, and if you go into resources, lang en, or whatever language, here is where all the localization files go. So let's go into this particular view. So that would be in views, auth, register. And you can see there are some translations here with the double underscore method. And kind of the default way to do localization is to define keys for all of your content you want to be translated and just have those keys across different language files. So for example, we'll have a key of, I'm going to change this to just normal name, not uppercase. And in lang, I'm going to make a new file for English by default. And it's going to be a JSON file. And we just define all the keys here. So not en, name would be just the translation in English in this case. And this would still work. It'd still be name. And if we wanted another language, say French, we just add another one here. So French.json, and then we can just grab this, and we can just do fr name, or whatever the translation is for French. And you won't see that there yet because we have to change to the locale. So if you go into config app, we can change it in here. And we can do it programmatically as well, which I'll show you later on. So right here, change it to fr. And now this should be fr name. Okay, that's fine, but if you're defining keys for everything you need to translate, then that becomes really cumbersome. So in Laravel, what you can do is just define the keys as the default language. So like we had here, we just define everything. We still have to use this double underscore method, but we just define everything as English. And now we no longer need the default JSON, we just need the additional languages. So when we delete this, and now for French, the key will be this. The key would be the English, and then the value is the translation. So this should still work. And it does, cool. So let's do one more. So this would be the key for email address. So let's add that one. Email address. And let's just say French email address. Sorry, can't type today. And there we go, cool. Also, the validation messages are done in PHP, and if you want, you can do PHP arrays as well. So the convention seems to be all the normal text should be in JSON, and your validation should be in PHP. Okay, let me just switch this back to English. And let me just show you how to programmatically get and set the locale. So let's go into our routes file, and let's just play around here. So let's make a callback, and let's just say test. So to get the current locale, you would just do app get locale, like this, and that would return the current locale. So it's in test. Oops, test. Okay, and to set the locale, you would use app set locale, and we'll change it to French here, And now this should return French since we changed it. This should return French. Cool. And you can also check. So if you do if app is locale French, and we'll put this in here. Okay, and this should still work. Cool. Okay, so now with that knowledge, let's build a language switcher. So we want to have our routes correspond to the locale we want. So for example, for English, we just want /en. And then for all of these routes, we want to append it or prepend it with the locale. So we need two things here. We need a route group that has a route parameter for the locale or the language. And we need some middleware to intercept each request and set the appropriate language. So let's start with the route group. So let's go into our routes here. And we want to wrap all of our routes in a route group with a route parameter. So don't need this anymore. Actually, let me just delete it. And we want to wrap our routes in a route group. So route group, and the prefix is a parameter. So we wrap that in curlies like this, and we'll call it language, or you can call it locale if you want. And it's going to be a function. Open that up, and then we'll close it down here. And we'll just indent everything. Cool. And I think this wants a space. Awesome. So now, if we go to the home page, that won't work anymore because there's no longer a route for the home page. So what we can do is just add a redirect to the default language. So if we do route redirect, just the home page to /en. Now that should redirect to en. Okay, cool. And now we're getting this error. So this error is coming from here. This method that defines all the auth routes. So if I remove that, this should still work. So I'll get back to that in a second. Let's just make this work and get our middleware working for now. So I want to go to the welcome page and just add some translations for that. So just for the Laravel heading, so this, we'll do __, the key will be Laravel. And let's go to our French and just make a key for Laravel. And for French, it will be FR Laravel. Okay. So this is still English, but if we change our config app or our locale, change it to French, and that should be FR Laravel. Cool. Okay. So we have our route group in place that takes the language parameter. Now we need some middleware. So let's do PHP artisan make middleware. Let's call it set language. Sorry, this is the wrong app. Let me just grab this. This is the demo app. Should be in here. Okay. And let's open that up. Where is it? App, HTTP, middleware, set language. And all we want to do is set the language in here. So we can do app set locale, and the language is in the URL here as a parameter. So we can just do request language. and this should follow through with the next request. And now we have to set this in our kernel. So for here, for web, just copy this, paste it, and then it's app HTTP middleware set language. Now this should work for all of our requests, and it should set the language. So now if I do this, it should be English, but if I change it to French, that should work as well. Awesome. So we have the URL working. So as you can see, we lost these links here. That's because there's no translations for them. So if we go into welcome blade PHP and just add the parameter here. So that's because every route now needs a language parameter, and we have to supply that. And that's the reason why these auth routes are no longer working, which I'll put back in a second. But let me just go back to welcome, and let's add that. So the second parameter is just the locale. So we can do app get locale. And that should work. I'm going to copy this because I'm going to be adding this to everything. Oops. Okay. So here as well. And now these links should be back, hopefully. Okay, I might have to put this back. Sorry, put the auth routes back. Okay. And do they go to the right link? They do. If you look in the bottom left, and let's see if we change it to French, do they go to the right link? And they do. Cool. Okay, now we just have to do that for all of the routes. So we get this error for register. Just go to register and add those. So for everything that has route, we just have to add the locale as a parameter, or the language in our case. Just search for the next one. I think that's it for register. Yep. And it's complaining about the one in login. So let's do that for login as well. Route. Add it here. Route. Add it here. And okay, it's complaining about app blade PHP, which is the master layout. So let's do that in there. Route. So these two. Or these four. So yeah, I'll do that behind the scenes. Okay, let's check that out. And there we go. So now register and login works. Cool. And you can see that the translation works as well. So if I go to EN, that should be normal. Awesome. And if you want the other translations, you can just add them to the fr.json file. Okay, now let's work on a language switcher. First, we'll start with server-side code, and then we'll move it to a view component. So I just want links here that correspond to our languages, and as you click on them, it will switch the URL, and you can see the corresponding page in that language. So let's go to our app, blade PHP, and up here is where the nav items go. So let's make a new one here. Nav item, and I think, yeah, I need a anchor tag with a class of nav link, and let's just test. Let's put en in here, see if it renders out. Okay, cool. And let's add one for French as well. So I'll just duplicate this. And let's add one for French. Now, what you can do is specify a collection of languages in your app, and then you can do for each. But in our case, since we only have two, then I'm okay with just hard coding it. So for the link, essentially what we want is we just want it to link to the current page, but just switch the language up depending on whatever one they press here. So we can do that using the route helper and one of the methods on the route facade. So we'll use the route helper, and then the first parameter is going to be the current route. So current route name, and then the second parameter is going to be the locale we want. So in our case, or for this case, it's English, and for the other case, it's going to be French. So let's just do that. Paste that in. This will be FR, and that should work. So we have English, French, and if you look at the bottom, that seems to work. And this works on any page you're on. So right now it's French, and we can change it to English. Awesome. So now let's switch it into a view component similar to what I did in the last video. So I'm basically going to rip what we did there, and here it is here. Let me just show you the demo. Oh, sorry, it's view components example.netlify.com. It's basically this. So let's go ahead and do this. So this is the language switcher component, and I'm going to steal this. So first, let's make a view work. So I need a new component. Just duplicate this one. Let's call it language switcher, and let's just do test. Don't put a container. Let's go to our Bootstrap. Sorry, not Bootstrap. App. Yeah. And let's add that language switcher. And language switcher. View. Okay. And now in our app blade PHP, this is our layout, and it is importing it here, is it? Yeah, right here. But in my experience, this actually doesn't work. You have to put it in the right before the ending body. So I'm going to remove this. I copied it already, and let's put it before the body, right here. Okay. And now I'm going to run my watcher. I think I have to npm install first. Actually, I have to use the component. So let's use it in here. So I want it to be, where do I want it to be? Yeah, let me just grab this. And then we'll put it right here. And then we'll put the language switcher in here. Language switcher. Okay, and now let's run our watcher here. npm run watch and see if this renders. Okay, that's done. Let's take a look, see if it renders at least. Okay, it doesn't seem to render. Let's see what's going on here. Let's just see if I just do that. Okay, so it's not in the right place. Let's see. Let's put it up here maybe. Yeah, it should be here, sorry. See if that works. Okay, so there it is. That's our view component. And I'm just going to copy what we have in our view component, and we'll just change this accordingly. So I'll start with the template. And just grab everything actually. And the spaces are going to be all messed up because it's going to be 4 here. Or maybe it's set to 2, no, it's set to 4, whatever, it's fine. Okay. So some of this stuff is obviously for the Vue project we did, so I'm going to clean some of it up, or just hard code it for now. So I'll just do en for here. And I'm not going to use this v on click away. Okay, we'll leave that. Will this actually render? It's okay if it's broken links. Just want to see if it renders anything. Okay, so it does render stuff. We do have errors and some broken links, but that's okay. So now let's add the script part. So I'll grab all this. And we can get rid of this. Okay. And I'm not using this view click away. We don't need that mix in. Okay, see if this works. Okay, so now there's no more errors. And this does pop out. It's just the CSS is all whack because I am not using Tailwind in this Laravel app. But let's just make this work. And then I'm not going to do the CSS, but in the final code, I will have it styled nicely. Okay, so let's take a look at the link. So the link is here. We have 2 because we're just hard coding both of them. So we have this. And before I was doing this click.prevent set locale. We don't need that because we're not using the Vue app. We can just set the href here. And then that's it. That should work. So we need to pass it in as props from the parent component. Sorry, not the parent component, from here, from app.blade.php. So let me show you what I mean here. Let me just switch this up. And we need the locale so we can display the current locale. So we can just pass in app get locale like this. And we're going to need the link for English and the link for French. And just like we did earlier, we can do that like this. So we'll just pass in link en. And we can do route, current, route name. Sorry, my Sublime is extremely slow right now. Not sure why. And then for this one, we want to pass in English. Okay, and close that out. And we want the same thing for French. And link fr. Okay, now we can accept that as props in here. Props, and I'm just going to do an array here. So locale, link en, and link fr. Okay. Now, let's see if I did this right. So I compiled. I refresh this and I'm going to check Vue DevTools just to see if it was passed through correctly as props. So we have our language switcher. There we go. And it does work. Awesome. So now we just have to update the links. So let's change this first. This is hard coded right now. We just need the locale. And here, we just have to add the flags in our public folder. So locale. Let's do 2 uppercase here. Okay, so now that should work. So this, it should still show EN because that's what we have here. But if I switch it to FR, that should work as well. And there you go, cool. And now for the links, we just have to add those. Let's do that quickly. And the rest will just be CSS, which I will just paste in from my example app. So we have these 2 props, link EN and link FR. And we have them both in here, I mean. So this is the English one. Yep, this is English. So we just have to do href link EN. And for the French one, link FR. And now these links should actually work despite not looking good, which we'll fix in a second. Okay, so if I click this and if I click English, you can see that it is pointing to the correct route. And if I click it, it should work. And it does, cool. Okay, I'm going to paste in the CSS here from my example app. Okay, so I'll paste it in here. Again, I just switched up I didn't switch it up, I just changed the Tailwind classes to something in here because we're not using Tailwind here, and see if that looks decent. And it does. I just need to add the flags here, and then that should work. Okay, so I added the flags in public, and now if I did that correctly, they should show up. There we go. Cool. So English works. We switch it to French. If we have the translations for that, that should work, and it does. Cool. So there you have it, guys. We've taken a look at localization and built out this language switcher in a Laravel app. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Okay, thanks. Bye.